Misty, would you call the roll, please?
Hal Glanville. J.R. Huddleston.
Here.
Deborah Johnston.
Here.
Bill Lukens.
Here.
Melissa Niles. Here. Travis Orbach.
Here.
Larry Pratt.
Here.
Linda Barbell.
Here,
Thank you.
kinda.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to approve an amended agenda on page 3 of the current claims. Second to last item on that page, Jessica Luther. That's been removed and that will be paid in the 2024 batch. So that subtracting that $1,085 would make a new total for the current claims of $71,696.51. And I would like to add a council update after the communications from the public, from our city engineer, Tracy Bastian. He has an update on the golf course retaining wall for us. Amending the current claims to a new total of $71,696.51. And adding a council update after the communications from public for our city engineer, Tracy Bastian.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an amended agenda. Amendment to page 3 of the current claims. Remove Jessica Luther, $1,085. And that brings that total now to $71,696.51. And adding council update, Tracy Bastian to give us an update after communications from the public in reference to the doubles.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. And as always, council, if you have any conflict of interest items, please let the council know before you vote. Need a motion to approve the minutes from the December 4th council meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 4th council meeting. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. A motion to approve the bills in between.
I'll make a motion to approve bills in between for $310,071.43.
Second.
Discussion? Travis, you had a question? Did you get yours?
Oh, yeah, I got it answered, yeah, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. A motion to approve an amended current claims.
Make a motion to approve an amended current claims, $71,696.51.
Second.
Discussion? Did you get it, Misty?
I got Linda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Communications from the public. Barb? Wally? Wally's got something.
Unique. My name is Wally Kershaw. I'm with the Valley View Line 6. I want to know what's the city doing with the neighbor like Sweat. He's in a county. He's doing whatever he wants. He almost blocked the road today. I can't get in because his water broke down. Okay. Now he leave little space so you better get in. he wants to get the road to get on our, it never was worked before. He put the propane tank, I don't know how far from the neighbor lady, but she couldn't do anything. And are you guys gonna do anything about the sweat tower? It's built almost on the section line. So you're not gonna do anything over there, anything, any rules for that?
So who are you asking about again, Wally, please?
Well, what?
Who are you asking about again?
I ask you, is city doing anything? Do they have any rules for that? And anybody checking on something like that? Or
Yeah, and what's the specific issue that you're wanting us to look into?
several issues, he wants to put the road on our road, the city road.
Okay, and you said he, so who's he? That's what I'm missing.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, this is over down at the bottom of Valley View.
Yes, that's where I have the building. He come out over here and they now have a road over there. When I want to get a little bit less to the road, I ask everybody around. He didn't ask anybody. He didn't have any letter, nothing. So I wonder if you guys, city, doing anything about it or just leave it as whatever is happening to the next generation and they can deal with it?
Okay.
Was there any committee doing with it?
So, no, I'm not aware that anybody has been addressing this, but we will. I'll talk with our building inspector, Scott Sogi, tomorrow, and we'll get a better understanding of what's going on and what building permits, if any, he's had with the city. So we'll take a look at it for you.
There should be some board over here, a mile, 2 miles or something like that, in case in the future they're going to be annexed to the city. There's going to be nothing but the rules of the city.
So I'll check with our building inspector tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wally.
You're up, Barb. All right. All right. Tracy, we amended the agenda. You get to speak to us a lot tonight. We went ahead and put a council update after communications from the public, because you really have 3 separate topics, that we're asking you to address tonight. So what I'd mentioned to the council is if you'd give them an update on the retaining wall out at the clubhouse, which you found out today.
Good evening. So I'll start with the retaining wall at the clubhouse. There's 2 issues that they've run into out there, seemingly opposites. The first issue that was encountered is very solid gypsum, which that was not that much of a surprise, being a knob. The other issue that showed up is excessively wet soil. That's the part that seems rather surprising. So there's will be a change order coming up, probably the next meeting, either that or the second meeting in January, to address the rock removal. And we have, I wish I had the exact number in front of me right now. I don't think we have an exact number because it would depend on the measured rock quantity that is taken out. But I believe we were given a price in the range of about $250 or $300 per cubic yard of rock. And that's actually a very fair price by today's standards. There probably wouldn't be more than maybe 4 or 5 cubic yards at the most, because it's not really that huge of a removal. But nonetheless, they had to mobilize. They had to bring in, the type of equipment that can break the rock. And then the other issue that did show up, that certainly more of a surprise, was a deep wet soils issue. So in order to adequately address that, we need to have our soils testing company from Rapid City that does all our density tests throughout the road project and our own projects for compaction and all of those sorts of things. They need to be able to conduct a soil survey and be able to get all of the technical elements. A lot of that is a very specialized field that's beyond me, but I do understand why we have to do it. And to have the bearing tests and all the soils tests and recommendations. And we did receive a price today that was part of a quote from the contractor that is $3,950 to do that. So we're probably going to be looking at a change order for that entire project. It's probably going to be about $6,500 in order to address those additional needs that came up for that project. So that's not on tonight's agenda. This is, at this point, just for information that this is coming up related to the golf course retaining wall project. So I'll take any questions on that particular subject before I move on.
Hey, Tracy, do you think the excessively wet soil that they found, would that be a potential root cause for the problem we're trying to fix?
I would think that could very well be, and it's probably ultimately due to, well, let me think here, 17, 18 years now of water, coming off the roof and going behind that stacked wall and probably absorbing throughout the soil, and who knows where, how far it has went, but I can't help but think that that's been part of the problem.
Yeah, thanks.
So I asked Tracy to address you tonight because of this additional cost. Our city administrator had reached out to you when we identified that we had some big rocks out there to get your verbal okay to go ahead and have them remove those rocks. Change orders are supposed to be approved by council before the work's done. But again, letting you know that the work needed to be done at that time rather than hold up the project. And now with this new cost, wanted council aware that cost has gone up. If I'm looking at our cash balances correctly, at the end of November, the golf course had a cash balance of $280,000. Does that sound close, Misty?
Yeah.
Okay. So we were looking at a cost about $133 for the wall itself, about another $32 for the HVAC units, and now adding this cost on top of that. So it'd be $163 plus another $6, another $7. We're going to be close to $170,000. Certainly aware of the fact that right now it's a slow season for the golf course. They're still incurring expenses without a lot of revenue coming in. But if we're looking at $170,000 with a cash balance of $280, we hopefully will be okay.
It's got to get done right.
All right.
Do you foresee any hidden problems coming up with this?
Probably not really much beyond this, simply because of the fact that it's, it's wall excavation. It's pretty much all right there. It's been opened up. It's not like they have to go 7 or 8 feet deep or anything like that below. Well, some of it, where it's being cut in is probably 4 or 5 feet deep, but hopefully there wouldn't be anything beyond this.
And it would be just isolated to one spot and not spread out?
On that wet soils, they'll probably do a survey of the soil under where the bearing, where the foundation has to go to make sure that, everything's covered. Yeah, and that proposal from the testing company was all inclusive. It was just a lump sum, all inclusive, take care of it all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Larry, depending on how much wet soil they find, that would need to be removed. It certainly is possible
That is
that there
true.
may be more fill that would need to go back in.
That could be. More likely, a situation like that, when you run into bad soils, you over-excavate, put in, engineered fill, as it's called, which is really just a fancy name for base course or clean rock, and get that all compacted. There could be some, but I don't think it would, just knowing the quantities involved, I don't think it would be a whole lot more, if any. And hopefully, it would just be, they might just consider that hopefully inclusive with the rest of the work they're doing.
And if that soil is removed, can the removed soil be used somewhere else?
I think Jason probably still has a few places out there around the golf course he needs filled in, so
Okay.
it's not going to be a lot. I mean, it would
Right.
be, maybe the equivalent of a pickup bed load, not a great deal.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions on the wall? No. All right. We'll have you come back up when we talk about old business. Thank you. All right, on to personnel. Can I get a motion to approve personnel actions A and B?
I'd like to make a motion to approve personnel actions A and B.
Second.
Discussion? Just want to point out on personnel action B, the individual that was originally approved for hire has withdrawn that application for that position. So the library board will be looking for someone else to fill that position. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. On to our resolution. Resolution A, Resolution 2023-27, Contingency Transfer Resolution.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-27, the contingency transfer resolution.
Second.
Discussion? In talking with Misty today, we started out with a contingency balance of $75,000. We have spent some of that, which brought us down to a new amount of $59,950. So subtracting the three items in the contingency resolution, that would leave the balance in the contingency at $29,946 with just a couple weeks to go. We did good. Any questions on the three items? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. On to old business item A. Amend a previous council decision to allow the city of Hermosa to dispose up to 25,000 gallons. Can I get a motion on that?
Make a motion to amend the previous council decision to allow the city of Hermosa to dispose of to 25,000 gallons per day of effluent wastewater into our wastewater treatment system, paying the commercial waste hauler rates established by the fee schedule on a per-day basis instead of per-load basis, made during the 12/4/23 regular council meeting to remove reference to a maximum gallons per day.
Second.
All right, discussion? Tracy? Would you update the council on the conversation you had with the folks from Hermosa?
Okay, so this amendment to the previous motion, the 25,000 gallon number was really just, I think, was chosen arbitrarily. It doesn't have any significance really at all. The plant itself runs at a barely 50% capacity on any given day. Actually, during the wintertime, it's even less than that. So we actually have the capability, theoretically, to take on as much as 300,000 or 400,000 extra gallons in a day, which of course would be physically impossible for them to bring that to us. So per the discussion that I had with them, they would like to be able to maybe haul up to maybe 55,000 gallons a day for a while in order to catch up. Their lagoons up there in Hermosa, I was told, are taking in about 35 to 40, maybe 45,000 gallons a day. And if they're able to start exceeding what's coming in, they can actually get ahead of it. And this would also eliminate them needing to consider hauling to us on weekends. I was asked that question, and I denied that request because we would have to have extra staffing at the plant. We're just really not comfortable with just letting them come and discharge this water without anybody there. So that is all to make it work out best for them and also best for us. And of course, like I say, we have immense capacity. And with a wastewater plant, it's actually a negative if you're operating significantly below your design capacity. In the days when that was built, the VA Medical Center, of course, was a much, much larger operation that contributed over 25% of the total flow. And of course, now that's about 2% of the total flow. So it'll actually help us some, because this is essentially pre-treated wastewater. It's not like septic haulers at all. This is actually a relatively high-quality wastewater. So that's the reasoning for the change. So, any questions on that?
You talked about the capacity of our plant, but what about our lagoons?
Oh, same thing. The lagoons have not been completely full for years.
And they are going to stick to the hours of our regularly
Yes.
scheduled
Yep.
employees with them?
So they'll fit within our Monday through Friday hours, and they've been instructed to not make their last load any later than about 3:30 in the afternoon, so that they can have it discharged and be out of there, and we're not having to have people stay past the normal business hours.
So are we taking their word on it, that water is what it is? Or is it certified? Is there some kind of documentation?
Well, you don't really have certification per se. It can be tested. Jason, I'm not sure if he made the trip up there, but he was going to go personally inspect lagoons. It's coming out of their third cell, and I do understand how lagoons work. They have a 3-cell system. The third cell is your clearest, most purified, if you will. And also they were specifically instructed to draw the water, not put the hose clear down towards the bottom, but to actually have it up in the water so that it's not pulling any, dirt, mud, rocks, or anything like that. So, but we will keep a very close eye on it to make sure it's what they say it is. And yes, we can certainly have it tested at our lab. And I think they have actually provided us, I think they did provide us some test results. So it's very normal, very, very normal effluent. Yeah.
And it is, and when they discharge it at the plant, that's something that our operators can view and actually
Yes.
get a qualitative look
Oh, yes.
at the discharge.
And that's why I denied any request to come on weekends or after hours or anything like that. Yes, we want it to be during regular business hours so plant personnel can monitor.
We have 2 full-time openings in our wastewater treatment plant right now. And so it sounds like there will have to be somebody there. A large part of the day. It'd be awesome if we could get those positions filled while the need is grown for their presence at the plant all day.
So is that going to cost us extra?
No, we have these open positions right now. It'll be
Yeah,
harder
we're-
for the employees.
That's what I'm saying. Is it going to cost us extra for?
No, if they bring this during regular business hours, it wouldn't be any additional cost. The only time it'd be additional is if somebody has to stay stay an hour late or something like that. Of course, that'd be fairly minor comparatively, but that's what we've told them, 3:30 is the cutoff, so.
I don't think it makes sense that we would start paying out of our pocket to accept the water. I don't know.
What was that again?
I was just thinking, I don't know if we were, I got the impression that we weren't going to have to spend any money out of our pockets to.
No.
Okay.
So to follow up to your question, Travis, when Jerry and Linda came down and met with Tracy, Jason and I, kicking around whether this was doable, they had brought the report from their third lagoon, the testing of
Yes, that's right,
the
they
effluent. So Jason was able to take a look at it and say, essentially, it's the same quality of effluent that we're sending out to our ponds. So he was very comfortable in doing that. And following up on Misty's question, as far as is there capacity in the lagoons themselves, after the council meeting where we had talked about this, the landowner did get in touch with Tracy, raising those same concerns. So he's aware that of what Tracy have said, that everything's going to be okay.
And he's happy to have more water. Yeah, it's more water. Yes, more water equals more hay.
Yeah. And the last thing, and Wally has a question, the 25,000 gallons number came from me. Again, when we met with him the first time, our first question to him was, well, how much effluent are you looking to bring us? They had said they thought, around 18,000 gallons a day. And we just thought, well, rather than limit it to 18, let's go ahead and bump it up to 25. Then when the question came up again, and in talking with Tracy, 25 isn't a problem either. They can't bring us enough in a day that we can't take it. So it seemed better just to remove the maximum quantity from what they can bring us. So that's why it's in front of you again today, tonight.
About 6 trucks a day if it reaches this 50,000?
Oh, at least. They're going to be busy. I don't know if they physically are capable of actually bringing that much or not. We'll see.
There's like a maximum capacity.
Oh, absolutely. There are weight limits for the highway.
Yeah.
Probably about 7,000 or 8,000 gallons, I think is about the maximum that they can haul in one load without being like a pup type situation. And that, of course, they can't do because you don't have enough room down there to bring in that type of a truck. So it's one tanker truck at a time.
Tracy, with us accepting this effluent water from them and whatever amount we're going to get, will it help to mitigate some of the odors that we're experiencing from?
It might. Part of the odor issue is indeed due to the operating at under capacity in the whole terminology of wastewater treatment. We have what we call detention times, and there is an ideal detention time. That is essentially the amount of time that the water, let's just say a given gallon of water, from the time it enters the plant and actually goes into the first of the clarifiers, there's an ideal time of about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, that water stays in that basin before it goes somewhere else. And we, just due to our flow most of the time, those detention times run anywhere from 3 to as much as 10 hours. So if we have low flow, that water, it just takes it a while to go out of there, and there's no physical way really to speed that up. That's the problem. So yes, this would be a benefit.
And I have a follow-up question that we've got. Wally had a question, didn't he?
He does. But why don't you ask your question, and then when council's done, we'll ask Wally to come down.
It's not really a question. I'd given an idea to look into that POOH, that POOH, I think is what it's called. And it is an industrial, it can have a industrial or commercial application used on it. I'll get with you again on that.
Okay.
But we did talk just briefly about it. but apparently it's supposed to take those odors.
It's a product, and I know Bill has talked to me some about a biochar type of a product too that we have been using. Yeah, we have been using enzyme chemical treatments, but it obviously is not completely taking care of the problem. So we're open to, yeah, because that detention time issue really is, it is a factor that it's pretty tough to deal with.
Again, I don't know the cost or anything, it's just, but it can be used for commercial use. They do have it for private use. I guess one of the things they did was they had a card that smelled like skunk, and one spray of it, and then took it back and handed it to everybody to smell, and you couldn't smell skunk. So anyway, it's got
Okay.
a commercial application. Just
We'll
something to
look
look
at
into.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions from council? All right. Wally, come on down.
Yeah, I wasn't last time at the meeting over here, so which road they gonna use to dump that one? The sewer? They're gonna come over here on the 18 truck bypass and,
No, they'll be coming down 79 from Hermosa.
yeah, and then 18 over here. And how they gonna get to the treatment? You gotta have a pretty good road too, because that's a heavy load. Really heavy load.
I believe it's Joplin they're going to turn on to, Tracy? And then they'll turn into the plant.
Is it strong enough, the road? Next question, I little suspicious for me. Why the Hermosa don't do the business with Rapid City? A lot closer.
Rapid City won't do it.
When we talked with Hermosa, they said they had approached Rapid, and Rapid will not take the effluent.
Yeah, different reason. Check before you sign a contract.
I believe they have their own very rapidly growing economy they're trying to provide service for.
So we're not signing a contract. The city already has waste hauler fees. And after the first of the year, there'll also be a permit, an annual permit for them. So
They're gonna haul on their own truck, yeah?
yes, they're going to contract with somebody to haul it.
Check the road, yeah, because that's gonna be pothole right away.
All right, thank you.
Concerns about the road?
All right, let's go on to new business. New business item A.
Want to vote on that one?
On the, sure, that makes sense, wouldn't it? All right.
And that way the drive goes down.
As long as we're here.
I guess moving on would suggest I don't want to vote on it. But, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. All right, on to new business item A. Approve an agreement with AE2S for hydrant flow testing.
Make a motion to approve an agreement with AE2S for hydrant flow testing and update of our existing water system model for a lump sum of $12,000.
Second.
All right, discussion? Come on back up,
I was
Tracy.
going to say Tracy.
Have a little break in between, so that's okay. Well, this project, this contract, really the concerns date back to 2006, 2007, when we were having some very hot, dry years, and we were experiencing some of the first indications that both our production of water and possibly our distribution of water were becoming heavily taxed. Not not overdone, but definitely the writing on the wall that if the town grows, if there's more demand in the future, we need to be planning ahead. So over the past 15 years, we have had discussions about, and we have been on the state water plan for quite a while, for building another storage tank, because it was identified when the hydraulic study, distribution model study was first done in 2007, 2008, that our deficiency area is the southwest part of town. And that's really not that hard to visualize because right now, both of our supply tanks are located in the north and northwest portions of the town. We actually have two essentially independent water zone systems that are fed by each tank. They are interconnected, but normally they do not flow together because of the height of the tanks. The highest tank is about 300 feet higher than the lower tank, which creates, a huge amount of pressure downstream. But anyway, as we are being approached now and seeing a considerable increase in interest in subdivisions and housing developments, more so than I've certainly ever seen in my time of being around here, and probably for most any of us, we're being approached by, proposals for some fairly significant increases. We're also seeing continual building of new homes all around town, and especially in the, in the golf course area. And so one by one, we're adding more clients, we're adding more customers, which is certainly a good thing. But the concern is, at what point is the water system not capable of delivering the product that is water in the manner that we need for it to be? So there's really two elements, and I'll try not to make this too long, but it's important to discuss it. There's really two elements of studying the water system, or two elements of really what it's all about. And the first element of it is production. In other words, making the product. Well, obviously we don't make the water, but we have to obtain the water, we have to pump the water, we have to make it available, that we can put it in the storage tanks so that it is then available for people to use. So we do understand that ultimately we need additional water capacity production, but that is probably it's not quite as pressing, because it's, other than in 2006 and 2007, we've not approached what I'd call quite as close to the red line as we were back then. But nonetheless, it happened before. It can certainly happen again, and there are more people connected now than there were at that point. Fall River Water Users was using a lot of water at that point in time, and also those were a couple very, very hot, dry years, but we know the climate here. We could certainly and probably will have some of those hot, dry years again. So this particular study that is on the agenda tonight actually is focused on distributing the water. So we have what's called our distribution system, and you could think of it as a route of roadways or whatever, train tracks, whatever. In reality, it's pipes to bring the water from the storage tanks to all of the users. And my biggest concern, and has been for about 15 years now, is the size of the distribution line that brings the water over from the 2 million gallon storage tank that's located up above the state home. That transmission line is almost entirely responsible for having to feed all of the west side and southwest part of the city. By updating this model, this hydraulic model, they already have a lot of the data already in place, so it's not like they're starting from scratch. But we've added some new water mains, we've made some improvements since it was last done. There's more homes now than it was before. And what this will enable us to do is they will have this model. It's like a dynamic model that we can say, okay, here's the existing system as it is right now. What if you're going to tap on across Highway 71 and build say you're going to put in 20 new homes on the southwest corner of town, or you're going to completely consider the golf course lots to all be built up. This can all be entered into that model, and then through all the computational algorithms of of the hydraulic modeling software, it will show, okay, almost like traffic in a big city, this artery over here, this main, is going to become overtaxed. And it's going to start showing that it's not going to flow as efficiently as it should. So you're going to start seeing areas that the pressure is going to drop. I mean, you're not really that likely to see somebody completely run out of water, although the people in the highest areas that are already don't have that much pressure would be some of the first ones to really notice that. So this model gives that ability when these developers come in, and they're coming in now, and they're pretty much demanding answers with a signature, maybe even a stamp on it, that says, yes, we as the City of Hot Springs can guarantee that you'll have ample water for your subdivision. And I, from a professional standpoint, would not feel comfortable to just say, sure, you're going to be fine. This modeling provides that ability to actually be able to give a very good, albeit it's computed, but it's through well-established computational software, to be able to say yes or no, or how much you can go before you have pushed a little bit too far. So this is a really good tool for us to be able to help these people who are coming in, wanting to help our town, wanting to help the housing situation, and also allow us to know that we may have to be looking at upsizing a section of water main. Maybe it's not big enough anymore. So that's really what it's all about. I'll answer any questions. I know that was kind of a long explanation, but...
At one time, AE2S was performing an update to our water plan so that we could prepare for this, correct me if I'm wrong, but over $6 million project to put a tower on that side of town to help. This distribution line improvement would be in addition to that, correct?
Yes. That state water plan item that's been on actually has been on the state water plan for quite a while, but we changed direction about a year and a half ago, or maybe close to 2 years ago now. I don't know, time goes fast. When we were originally thinking about, we had been recommended to possibly drill a well up west of the golf course. And through, I would say, just expert sage advice from experienced well drillers in the area, we were advised to take a much stronger look at increasing the pumping capacity of our Evans Plunge pumping station. However, in order to be able to go before the state, to be able to possibly get funding for that improvement, we have to have a study that we actually have to do a test, which requires some repiping, temporary repiping, at the pumping station to be able to actually pump the proposed amount. And then there's drawdown tests and things like that that are done to make sure that it does not, adversely affect, even our own Evans Plunge. It needs to make sure that that will indeed work. So that is a separate item. Now the storage tank in and of itself, there's really not a lot to say about a storage tank other than it's just another place it's like a battery, to be able to store up that water, that you can be filling that tank during your off-peak times, and then you've got that capacity, especially on those hot afternoons in July or August, to be able to have enough capacity. Like I say, it's really a lot like a battery. So that's the production side of it, basically producing and storing. The tanks are like a warehouse. But then the piping is a whole separate issue, and that's your distribution. That's how you literally take the water to everybody. And that's where this particular study would be focusing, is the distribution system, and to just see, can we tell somebody that they're okay at this point, or they may be okay for a while, but we have to say, once you reach a certain density of housing in this area, that you have to upsize the water main. So all of that will be for our planning. Some of it is 5, 10, 15-year type, 20-year type planning, but you have to be on the front side of it because it's pretty tough to catch up if you've got people that their faucets are only dripping.
Questions, council?
Just a couple more comments, and we discussed this at length at Public Works this past week. And so council may be asking, okay, why now with everything we've been spending with the road reconstruction project and the utility work? The work, and I'm looking at Tracy to make sure I don't misspeak anything, there is a level of urgency to do this testing or to get this this work plan going now. Some of the housing work that interested parties would like to do is tied to grant work, and those grants, they cannot apply for those grants until the water and sewer capacity certification is in place. And so that's on us to get that if we can indeed certify that X number of housing units can be supplied. So that's important for us to be able to answer that question. Also, this work is not strictly a computer model. There will be flow testing required. Well, we are not in the right season to do extended flow testing. So we need to have the contract in place, the digital work up to date so that when the weather gets warm enough, AE2S can get out in the field and start flowing water so that the answer can be generated in as timely a manner as possible. So that's why this is before you now, where it may look like, gee, are we jumping the gun? No, I don't think we're jumping the gun. This is a question that if we want to grow as a community, if we want to see taxable real estate within the city limits, we've got to be able to provide an answer to this question. Did I misstate anything, Tracy?
You stated very well. No, that's very correct. And I did ask AE2S, Jim Jones, my main contact person, I did ask him what would be a probable timeline for the completion of the study, and it'd probably be about 3 months. So 3 to 4 months would be a realistic time frame. So yes, if we were to start this soon, they could be working on the indoor digital part of it and be really ready to go once there's really no concern about creating a bunch of ice or something by doing some flow tests. And we could have some answers to it just seems like an increasing number of questions just in the last few months. I mean, I've seen more than ever. It was never a question before, but now it is.
Anyone else?
And I guess I'll look to Mystic. I think I know the answer to this. Would this be paid for from the water fund or the 212 fund?
Water.
It's water.
I had 3 questions. It's now down to 2, or down to 1. So if you could go ahead and ask my remaining question then, since you've picked off the other 2. Talking about the distribution, in my mind, this is really a 3-part question that the city needs to answer. It's distribution on the south end of town. It's production. Do we, in fact, if we have the distribution system in place, do we have the production to fill the lines? And will they take a look at a storage tank on the south end of town as part of this study?
Yes, there would be every reason for them to do that because the model, like I say, it's very dynamic, and you can essentially a storage tank, like I say, it's like a battery, and you can literally just go to the model and pick a location that they already have the elevation data. That's very important in this. And they can pick a location. They say, okay, we're going to put hypothetical 1 million gallon tank at this corner of town and see how that, alters, enhances, improves the performance of the system. Because having another, closer storage source, I like to use the analogy of electricity a little bit, that you don't have quite as long of an extension cord to, if you're plugged in an outlet, it's a lot closer. So that would certainly help, even if the distribution system wasn't changed that much or changed at all. Just having that additional water right there, that instead of having to flow 2 miles, and that's about how far it has to go right now, coming across from the 2 million gallon tank, has less than a mile or maybe half a mile to flow. That's less resistance. It's less, because water does have resistance as it goes through the pipes. So just like electricity through a wire. So it will help. And that will be that would undoubtedly be part of what they would plug in. They're also going to look at, part of this is you look at the whole distribution system and you say we're putting X number of houses here, and they could, and this is not only for the southwest corner of town, it covers the whole town. So if theoretically someone wanted to build a subdivision north of town, of course there are some different issues they have to deal with up there because you're going uphill, but nonetheless, if they were drawing water from the system up there, they can look, the model will look at that. Any corner of town. Or if we started building some high-rise apartment complexes in the middle of town, it can evaluate any of those hypothetical situations, which is really pretty neat. I mean, it's a powerful type of thing that, 50 years ago didn't exist. You just had to do it all, manual calculations and guesswork. So it's a very useful tool.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. New business item B, approve renewal of a 2023 Evans Plunge Mineral Springs assignment of lease.
I make a motion to approve the renewal of the 2023 Evans Plunge Mineral Springs assignment of lease site for billboard located south of Maverick Junction on US Highway 18385 with Gary and Sharon Romey under the same terms and conditions for 2024.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. New business item C, approve renewal of a 2023 Evans Plunge Mineral Springs assignment of lease.
I make a motion to approve the renewal of the 2023 Evans Plunge Mineral Springs assignment of lease site for billboard located south of Minnetonka Junction on US Highway 18 with Scott Phillips under the same terms and conditions for 2024.
Second.
Discussion?
Hey, on this, sorry, I think back to that one billboard that was a little controversial. The difference is that this one's prettier than that other one would have been?
It's pre-existing
And they're
for
out of
many,
town.
many years, and they're outside of town.
Okay.
They're bringing business into town at junctions.
But in my mind, the big difference in this is we're asking these people to allow us to have a billboard on their property. They're out of city limits. in exchange for that advertisement. Then.
Right, okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item D, approve and authorize mayor to sign agreement 2023-14.
I make a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign an agreement 2023-14, a memorandum of agreement with Fall River Health Services for emergency support.
Second.
Discussion?
Do they think there's something coming up? This sort of like prescient on their part? Or is this just kind of taking over an existing agreement?
There was an agreement that council approved in May, and it had the old city administrator's signature on it. And they're looking to upgrade it, update it. And some of the language has changed in this. We asked our new attorneys to take a look at it, and they changed document or agreement to document in a couple places. The big thing with this, in my mind, is in the first paragraph, last sentence. This agreement is subject to availability, and City of Hot Springs will use reasonable efforts to provide assistance to Fall River Health Systems. In my mind, this is a prudent thing for them to do as a medical facility to address how would they handle emergencies and who would they reach out to, to get them through those, and asking the city for assistance. What they've looked at in the past is availability of the Mueller Center to gather for different emergency situations.
Is there, it says in the event of a declared emergency, can you define declared? I mean, who's going to declare? Would that be you or?
Bill, I'm going to ask you to step in as far as
That would
public
be
safety.
typically by the county emergency manager or even the governor or the federal government. It would be a major event, be a mass casualty situation where either the hospital wasn't available or was overwhelmed, where they may need the gymnasium as a triage facility.
So who runs things then in a situation like that?
They would bring in their facility.
So Fall River
their
would
people.
run
Yeah.
the show?
Yeah,
And we would just say, okay, here you go?
here you go. Yeah, let the subject matter experts,
I don't know.
we keep the gymnasts out of the way.
And in a situation where Fall River Health System is going to be looking to us for this type of assistance, Bill has set up an emergency response center up at the library for city staff. I suspect that we're going to be part of this conversation with them.
Yeah, anything that big, we would more than likely open up the library conference room for city, coordinating of city responses.
Did you get an opportunity to bring the new council people, show that to them?
I don't believe I have.
It's pretty nice.
Any other questions? Travis?
No, thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item E, approve and authorize mayor to sign agreement 2023-15.
I make a motion to approve and authorize mayor to sign agreement 2023-15, a professional services agreement with HDR Engineering Incorporated to provide the FAA required independent fee estimate for the design, bidding, and construction phase services for the Hangar Taxi Lane Extension Project at the airport at a total cost of $4,200 to be funded by contingency and reimbursed by AIP grant in 2024.
Second.
Discussion? Bill, would you update this from the airport advisory perspective?
Yeah, okay. I'll give you my understanding of this based on what Charlie Baker with KLJ has told us, is the FAA requires an independent engineering group to evaluate the cost estimate, engineering cost estimate for a project, to make sure that the cost estimate that they've given us for this project is appropriate. So this is a third party that will come in, look at the taxi lane project that we're going to do at the airport, and assess what KLJ believes it will cost to do the project, and I think they'll even look at the scheduling and say, yeah, either yes or no, this is an appropriate, reasonable. Thank you. This is, KLJ has provided a reasonable estimate for this project. And where it says it's AIP, this is AIP will reimburse us for this. I'm not sure it's 100% reimbursable or it's 90%, so we may end up paying like $420 of this from city funds.
I believe that Charlie told us that this would be 100% reimbursable through the AIP grant. I don't think the whole construction is, but I believe he said this part of it would be 100%
And
reimbursable.
as with all of these, we will pay them, they will bill us, we will let the
Submit all kinds
FAA
of
know,
paperwork.
and we will then, they will give us, we will then approve a automatic budget supplement for $4,200 for this in about 5 or 6 months.
Sounds about right.
I'm finally getting used to the sequence of this, so.
And this taxi lane extension, is it to the east of the new 10-unit T-hangar?
It is to the north. The taxi lane extension is both on the east and west side of the new T-hangars going north, about 430 feet, I believe, which will allow us to build more private hangars. Well, it'll allow for more private hangars to be built and allow us to rent more property at the current rate of 12 cents a square foot per year, unless we raise it.
Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. New business item F, renew the following municipal operating agreements for alcoholic beverage license holders.
I make a motion to renew the following municipal operating agreements for alcoholic beverage license holders for 2024. American Legion, RL and RB, BW Gas and Convenience Retail, LLC, doing business as Yesway, number 1177, PL, Big Bats, LLC, RB, Big Time Pizza, Inc., RB and RW, Black Hills Pizza Hut, Inc., doing business as Pizza Hut of Hot Springs, RB, Buffalo Dreamer Restaurant, RB and RW, CS Inc., doing business as Winner's Circle, Lanes and Games Casino, 2, RL and RB, Dakota Mart Inc., DBA Dakota Mart Gas, RB, Dakota Mart Inc., DBA Lynn's Dakota Mart, PL, Dolgen Midwest LLC, doing business as Dollar General Store RB and RW, Family Dollar Stores of South Dakota LLC, doing business as Family Dollar Store, number 27126, RB and RW, Frankie's Place LLC, RB and RL, Frog Projects LLC, doing business as The Space, RW and RB, Good Karma Couture LLC, doing business as Morning Sunshine, RB, Hanging J LLC, doing business as Red Rock River Resort, RR, HS Pilaf Properties LLC, RB and RR, Jalapenos Grill LLC, RL, MG Oil Company, doing business as Corner Pantry, number 11 and 11B, RB, Misty River Tavern LLC, RL, Alex and Yvonne Schmunk LLC, doing business as Sunny's Superfoods, PL, City of Hot Springs, Southern Hills Pro Shop, RB and RW, Southern Hills Mercantile LLC, RB and RW, Springs Hotel LLC, doing business as Spring Coffee Kiosk, RB and RW, Dirk and Olga Turnquist, doing business as Springs Restaurant LLP, RB and RW, and Stanwell LLC, doing business as Art House, RW and RB.
Second.
Discussion?
I would
Take a
just like
drink
to
of water.
thank Deb for making that motion. You did really good that
I need a drink.
Do you need a few minutes? Misty, I've lost my cheat sheets for the acronyms, the PL and the RL and the RR.
I have it right here.
Yeah. Do you want to go with restaurant liquor, retail beer, retail wine?
Yeah, the on-off, or the off sale is a PL, an on sale is RL, on sale restaurant is RR, on off sale is RB. And then on off sale RW, wine and cider establishments.
But those two-letter acronyms, you were talking about them.
Right.
Right, so PL is packaged liquor and, okay. And then RL,
Retail liquor,
RR,
restaurant,
RB,
beer,
Malt liquor and farm wine,
and then RW is the
Wine.
wine. All right, thank
wine
you.
and cider.
All right, so any discussion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item G, authorize police department request to change overtime calculations.
Make a motion to authorize the police department request to change overtime calculations from per week to per pay period, 14 days, as allowed by FLSA exception, section 7K. This exception is only allowed and authorized for law enforcement officers and does not impact any other groups of employees.
Second.
Discussion. This conversation started with admin finance, and it started with the chief of police recognizing that the police department incurs a lot of overtime. And this is his suggestion to go from the, make sure I get this right, the 10 days per pay period to 14 days per pay period, which allows them up to 86 hours in a 14-day pay period before they start incurring overtime. He's talked with all of the officers about it. They're all in favor of it. One of the other questions that come up is, does it mean that all the officers will have to work the same hours in a shift? And it doesn't. They can still have 8-hour shifts, they can have 10-hour shifts, they can have 12-hour shifts. They don't have to work them. It just gives them the flexibility of scheduling different, giving the officers more time off in some cases because they're working longer days, and the city will save in overtime because we won't start incurring overtime at 80 hours. We'll start incurring overtime at 86 hours. So I want to thank the chief for recognizing that his department has a lot of overtime and offering this as an option to reduce the overtime and still provide shift preferences as far as length for the officers. So that's what this is about.
One of the things that they like is the flexibility. There are officers that like 12-hour days, and after 3 12-hour days, you're not quite to 40 hours. Our current policy, if you don't make your 40 hours, you have to use leave or have deductions for your accruals if you don't make 40 hours. Well, this and then in the next week, they'd have 52 hours. So this allows for more flexibility for that scheduling for the department as well.
So I just had a question. Would like emergency callback time, would that fall under overtime? Or is that?
The police officers are always on call. They don't have an emergency callback pay or time.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. New business item H, authorize a budget supplement of $2,083.18.
Make a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $2,083.18 to additional sales tax fund professional services 212-21200-42200 for construction administration and observation of the 10-unit T-hangar. Reimbursement revenue received from AIP grant funding number 3-46-0022-015-2021.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. On to committee reports, Administrative and Finance. JR, Melissa?
The next admin finance meeting will be January 8th, 2024, 1 p.m. here at the Mueller Civic Center. All are welcome.
Thank you. Airport Advisory, Bill?
Airport Advisory met Thursday, December 7th at 8:30 a.m. at the airport. Members present were Shane Miller, Gary Telkamp, Mark Boxbaum, and Petra Wilson. Employees present were Ivan Venner, Bob Nelson Jr., and Tracy Bastian. Elected officials present were myself and Mayor Nelson. Airport tenants present were Ray Campbell with Southern Hills Aviation, and there were no members of the public. Airport manager update, T-hangar update. The building is erected. The door frames are installed and waiting to be skinned. And that skin is waiting on the electrical installation. After the building is completed, final site grading and apron placement will finish the project. As of December 6th, the liquidated damages due to project delays was $113,200, which is 15.8% of the contract value. The project delay may necessitate KLJ amending their fees associated with the engineering, construction, administration, and observation services. If this is the case, any changes to the contract and agreement with KLJ will come before council for approval. We talked about the independent fee estimate, and you've already approved that. Monthly fuel sales for November, we sold 702 gallons of aviation fuel. The average fuel price for a 125-mile radius was $6.44 a gallon. Our price remains at $6.20 a gallon. The committee discussed fuel prices and recommended that the price remain as is. For November, we had an estimated 46 fixed-wing operations, and believe it or not, we had 2 balloon launches and 2 balloon landings. weeks. The annual fee increase in payment options for the QT pod, which is part of the aviation fuel system, was discussed. The price is increasing, and we will have the ability to save 20% if we buy a 5-year plan. The committee recommends going with the 5-year subscription plan, and that'll be funded as directed by the finance office. And that will come due July 1st. So if we decide to pay the 5 years up front, that'll be about 5 times more than what we've budgeted for. So that will either have to be funded out of contingency or from supplemental appropriations. We had no observations regarding opportunities for improvement. Under new business, the committee reviewed the T-Hangar rental agreement and provided by the finance office. The committee recommended one minor deletion regarding the required permission to perform maintenance. We requested that deleted the last sentence of the first paragraph. We talked about the independent fee estimates already. We got a report from Shane Miller regarding the canvas buildings. The installed cost of a structure that would hold 2 seaplanes or 1 King Air would be about $75,000. Feasibility discussions will continue next month when the capital improvement plan is discussed with the KLJ engineer. We adjourned at 9:10 a.m. and our next meeting will be Thursday, January 4th, 8:30 a.m. at the airport. Any questions?
How's the new airport manager?
Fantastic.
So is your lingo. Thank you so much for your clear explanation about how that may be paid for. You're getting very good with your lingo.
Thank you.
Bill, you talked about liquidated damages. Do those come back to the city?
Don't believe so. Charlie, we've asked him several times. He thinks those will go back to the FAA.
It'll come off the construction costs, right?
Yeah, they'll come back to the construction cost. I think we ought to take a swing at the FAA since we've lost over a year's worth of rental on that. Unless he tells me otherwise, the worst the FAA can say is no, we get it, but
They're paying 100% for the project, so I imagine that we won't pay the final amount, that the liquidated damages will be deducted from that final payment. So we won't pay it, but we won't get reimbursed from them for it either, so.
Just an offset.
Yeah, be zero. The net effect would be zero for us.
Yeah. I thought it was important to ask that question in public so that we can point somebody back to this council meeting to say that it was discussed. Liquidated damages, typically people, figure they're coming back to the people who incurred the cost. And
yeah, with 100% funded, or essentially 100% funded project, it is doubtful.
Worth a shot.
Thank you, Bill. Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management, Travis?
The Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management District Board meeting was scheduled to next be in session Thursday, January 11th at 7 o'clock at the Mueller Center, but that has now changed to Thursday, January 18th, 7 o'clock at the Mueller Center.
Thank you. Historic Preservation, Deborah?
They met December 6th, 5 p.m. Present were Scott Sogi, Christine Heidebrink, Kara Hagan, myself, Joe Mueller, Pat Like. Guests were Mayor Bob Nelson, Peggy Sanders, and Cal Larby. In order to conduct the meeting, the open positions of chairman and secretary were addressed first. Pat Like was nominated for chairman by Joe and seconded by Christine. No further discussion, and the motion passed. Christine Heidebrink was nominated for secretary by Pat and seconded by Joe. No further discussion, and the motion passed. A motion was made to approve the minutes of August and September, and those passed. Under new business, the Springs Lodge and Cafe, additional storage structures. The Springs Lodge and Cafe contacted Scott seeking approval for 2 storage sheds to replace the horse trailer they had been using. The sheds had already been placed prior to the meeting. Joe made a motion to approve the sheds, and Christine seconded. No further discussion. The motion passed. Deadwood grant funds. The current distribution of funds through the Deadwood grant was reviewed and discussed again, including ideas for additional local revenue and CLG, certified local government grants. State Representatives Trish Ladner, Dennis Kroll, and Julie Freimuller had been invited and were unable to attend as planned. Ways to educate new buyers and the local realtors in regards to historic properties was also discussed in a previously distributed information booklet that was approximately 30 years ago put together, was recently resurfaced and circulated amongst the members for review. It was agreed that something similar would be very beneficial and may be accomplished through a CLG grant. If so, it is likely that we will need to be diligent about keeping track of volunteer hours. Peggy was going to Pier the next day and inquired on that topic. Volunteer hours can be used in kind towards matching funds. River Channel retaining wall barrier in front of the Springs Inn. I presented photos provided by the new city administrator, Bob Nelson Jr., of the retaining barriers in Deadwood as an option to be considered where needed across from the Springs Lodge and Cafe. The old railing off of the Minnetonka Bridge would also be an option, as was previously recommended, but could hopefully be repurposed in its current capacity instead. Pat made a motion to approve the idea presented, which would be using the double railing that is removed when the suspended sidewalk goes in from the current wall that's going to be cut down. There's those metal pole parts that are going to be cut out. And so and the design is to add cable inserts between the poles and the pipes to bring it to code. So I have pictures, if any, from the ones they did in Deadwood that are of the same design, except ours are double rails and theirs were just a single rail. And it looked really nice. So that motion passed. Under old business, deterioration by neglect update. An update was provided by Mayor Bob Nelson on the status of deterioration by neglect action taken against the owners of the properties located at 243 North River Street and 611 North River Street. The City of Hot Springs has new legal representation, Houston Law Office, and has been advised that there are more steps to take in this process than what was originally communicated. One of the owners has been notified but has made no attempt to further comply so far. The other owner would not accept the legal notice, and the necessary actions are being taken to have it delivered by a process server. All violations need to be identified and documented to continue to move the process forward and bring fining to the owners. There's no update from the Hot Springs Historic Commission website and no update from SOS. Other discussion, Pat and Joe's terms are up for renewal in 2024. Cal Larby noted that the museum is doing great. There is now an archive room, and he is excited about the position or the positive direction things are moving overall. The meeting adjourned at 6:45, and the next meeting is Wednesday, January 3rd, 5 p.m. here at the Mueller Center.
Any questions for Deborah?
Yeah, you said volunteers, are they strictly through the Historic Preservation Committee?
Say that again?
Are the volunteers strictly through the Historic Preservation?
What she's discussing is the potential to have volunteer hours added to an awarded grant. So the volunteers would be specific to whatever project the grant is awarded for. So if they are seeking a grant to repair a building and their volunteer hours associated with that, those hours can be used as an in-kind contribution for our matching. It's not just keeping track of any volunteers doing anything throughout the city. That doesn't help.
So I tallied 2022's hours last spring, and just the amount of people that showed up for the commission meetings added up to like 66 hours. And then the state is computing those hours to be worth $27.50. So times 66, whatever that comes out, could be our matching funds towards a grant.
And on the fence project, when would that start and who would be doing the work?
Robert Jr., Bob Jr. has made contact with the people that I previously reported having gotten a bid from American Metal Works up in Rapid. They are working with the suspended sidewalk people as a so he is going to be talking to them so that they don't mangle and ruin those rails. I think he might already have been in contact with them about that, and he's getting a bid from them what it would cost to utilize those rails and to place them where we want them to be placed. We need between 430 and 500 linear feet of railing to go along that wall in front of the motel.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah,
all that, but
and so the
when
bid
would
I-
it start?
The bid I
When would the
previously
project
got,
start?
we have to get the rail off the side of the
Okay,
thing.
Figure how much it's going to cost.
And
Might
also
have
to
go
get
out
the-
formal bid.
Right,
Okay.
get a bid. So it's all, have to wait for it get cut down first, and he's also talking to the company, so I'm not sure how far he's gotten with that.
okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Deborah?
Curious.
Yeah.
Adding a couple things. Deborah had mentioned that two of the folks, their terms are expiring in 2024. The commission is short on members. We have put a notice on our city website. We put it on Facebook. We put it in the paper, asking anyone who's interested in being on the Historic Preservation Commission to get in touch with City Hall. They can email me. Haven't had anyone reach out that wants to be on the commission. So if you know somebody, reach out to them and ask them to get in touch with City Hall or myself. We want to get a minimum of 2 more members on the Historic Preservation Committee, ideally 3 more people. The barriers that you were just talking about, Bob has reached out to Jack Core with Core Construction. Jack is his company is the subcontractor for the construction of the suspended sidewalk, and he's agreed to just go ahead and give the city the railings, and rather than haul them up to Rapid.
What's that?
I know Misty was giving kind of,
He's agreed to give us our railings? I'm sorry.
well, they're not our railings, they're part of their construction project. So they've had that conversation, at least that's my understanding of it. So that's in progress. Demolition deterioration by neglect, rather than demolition by neglect. I need to learn the new terms. As Deborah had said, we have been talking with our new attorneys, and we have a direction that we're going to go with that to get some letters out to each of the offending business owners. That's coming together much quicker than it had in the past, so thank you for working with us on that. That's huge. All right, thank you, Deborah. Evans Plunge Advisory, Linda?
Okay, the Evans Plunge Advisory Committee met on December 14th, 2023 at noon. Present were myself, committee members Chris Hansen, Tom Nas, Allison Ritterbusch, Mara Smith, Recreation Director Gabby Martin. Intro to scuba class update. Jim from Rapid City held an informal meeting outlining the class curriculum. He will provide all necessary equipment for the class to be held on a Sunday in January. A minimum of 6 students required with a $79 fee per student plus admission to the plunge. And from what I understand, that class will be just getting the people used to using the equipment and probably getting fitted and all that stuff. The update on the facade design. The city engineer was approached for his design, which will be sent out for bids. The facade is to encompass the River Street side of the building around to the north side. Monthly incidents included staff keeping a close eye on an intoxicated male until his companions could remove him from the building. No incidents involving the pool. Other items, Tom reported that there's no heat or AC in the office area. Perhaps it is just a repair. They need an estimate to replace the heat in the weight room area, replace a water softener, and a generator went down. Treadmill needs new tread. Estimates for revamping the shutoffs for the hot tubs, and an estimate for the garage door on the north side of the building, and looking at the 2024 budget for these items. Chris reported that we will be participating in the December 16th Wear a Santa Hat Saturday, getting $2 off the cost of admission on that day. We still have our December special on punch cards, buy 2, get 1 free. Allison says the swim team is halfway through the season and the state track meet will be the first weekend in March. Gabby reported on the recreation swimming update. She is getting responses from volunteers and plans on $15 for the classes with a $3 admission to the plunge for Fun Day Fridays for 1.5 hours. We need 20 kids signed up to break even. The hours and dates are to be determined yet. Maris is waiting to get with Okoya on setting up babysitting classes, CPR classes that include the AED and first aid. The Evans Plunge will be closed December 24th and 25th for the Christmas holiday. We adjourned at 12:36 p.m. with the next meeting January 11th, 2024, noon at the Evans Plunge.
Any questions for Linda? Thank you, Linda.
At the state swim meet, you said state track.
Did I say track
Oh,
meet?
I wondered why she was talking about track.
Yeah, you're right.
That makes more sense.
Okay, swim meet. Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Parks, Recreation, Beautification, Larry, Linda?
I been having some problems with my vocal cords, so I've only hit the high spots when I get done. Deb or Mayor, if you want to add, please. Okay, Parks and Recreation met at 2 p.m. to Wednesday, December 6th here at the Mueller Center. In attendance were Chris Gatke, Kaylin Mossett, Jason Midgley, Gerald Colligan, City Administrator Bob Nelson Jr., Lori Sherrard, Bart Sieg, Councilwoman Deb Johnson, Gabby Nelson, Mayor Bob Nelson, and myself. In Cemetery update. Rob Reynolds retired after 23 years. They're looking for 3 people. They're looking for another person. 3 people are interested, looking for criteria, policy, procedure, quite possibly. It was brought up in Public Works, I believe, Bill. Okay. The cemetery board, Caitlin Turner and Janice Weiser, their terms are up. Looking for 2 board members. They're a 5-year term. If anyone is interested in running for the board, I think you can call down to City Hall and get that, if I'm correct on that, Mayor. Okay. Services to dig graves according to, it's a recommendation for services for the digging the graves. The mayor had questions about payment for the services to dig graves according to ordinance. Recommendation to change ordinance, implement a policy and procedure. In the parks update, Bart Sieg, there's picnic tables, repairs, extra Christmas lights are put up, general maintenance. New picnic tables are in, 12 tables, and there are 4 handicaps. And the Mueller Center, Christmas was good, better crowd this year. The South Dakota pageant is coming up, that's already passed by. General maintenance in and around the facility. Gymnastics are great, doing well. And the rec update, indoor soccer, roughly 60 kids. Possibly to sign up so far, maybe 2 separate programs. Might have to kick some programs out. In Keep Hot Springs beautiful, the Christmas lights up at Centennial Park, the bridge around trees. Separate the lights to different places, maybe show more lighting possibly year-round. The city administrator got a hold of me, and he's got something I forwarded on to Shelley so that we could possibly have more lighting in the park. He's got some programs they could look at. In new business, the Soccer Association did not show up. Locks on the soccer field, signs posted around for public to see. That's kind of taken a life of its own. I got an email. He's talked to Lori. Lori and them have found 3 signs about, and 2 other signs that are in reference to that. Talking about putting locks on the gate. Bart has no problem with locking the fields in the wintertime to keep out the dogs. And there was one more email, but my brain just cramped. But they're all going the same direction with that. The stair restoration, was it Parks or Public Works? Mayor? Possibly more toward the Public Works. In old business and the river restoration progress, are they going to finish or not? Deb will ask Rodney to give an answer. I'm sure you probably got an answer, hopefully, maybe not. The mayor gave brief history of said project. Council will need to decide what to do with the project. And the bench for Harry Pad, the insurance recommended to place somewhere else. It was placed at School Street Park, so it was found. It had been lost, but now it's found. In public comment, Gerald talked about basketball goals, pickleball, resurfacing material. I had to leave around that time. The mayor was talking to Gerald, and it's my understanding the meeting adjourned around 3:30-ish. The next meeting is scheduled for January 3rd at 2 p.m. at the Mueller Center. Everyone is invited. And thanks for putting up with my voice.
Any questions for Larry? Linda?
Yeah, are you guys in charge of this soccer field out here? Parks and Rec? High school plays?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Has the school got in touch with you guys for soccer this coming?
We've kind of broached that subject in the past, haven't we, Mayor, with the school about the soccer field? Nobody as of yet has done that, but I know that we've had that in discussion before with the school on the field.
When the previous city administrator was here, he had mentioned he'd had a number of conversations with the superintendent about shared use of the soccer fields. I don't believe our new city administrator's had any conversations with him.
I don't think he has either, so, yeah.
Would he be the one that we talked to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? Thank you. Planning and zoning, Deborah?
We will be meeting this Wednesday, the 20th, 6 PM at City Hall.
Thank you. Public safety, Bill, JR?
Public Safety met Thursday, December 7th, 2 PM here at the Mueller Civic Center. Members present were Alderman Bill Lukens, Alderman J.R. Huddleston, Alderwoman Deborah Johnston, Mayor Bob Nelson, Police Chief Ross Norton, Safety Coordinator Lori Sherrard, Gary Baker, Fall River County Assistant, Emergency Manager, Renee Staley, Fall River Health Services, Compliance Manager. The agenda was adopted as published. Communications from the public was none. Update from the police department. Discuss night fire exercise, which will address the recent South Dakota PAA inspection finding. Discuss planning bi-monthly training with the sheriff's office as appropriate. The topics will be communicated to Fall River Health Services so they can take advantage of the training as appropriate. To date, over 1,400 written traffic warnings have been written. This compares with about 400 written warnings issued in 2022. Information becomes important as grant funding is pursued. Chief discussed potential departmental organizational adjustments for future consideration. To date, 7 of the 12 deer access permits have been filled. They should have stopped at my house yesterday, and today you could have had 15 filled. Old business. Outstanding signage requests were reviewed with the safety coordinator. Mitigation grant information provided by the Fall River Emergency Manager has been forwarded to the chief and the city administrator so they can prepare Homeland Security grant application to address PDMG risks and other identified needs. New business. Committee reviewed the proposed 2024 focus areas, which include PDMG risk mitigation, traffic control signage, emergency response, preparedness, and code enforcement. Battle Mountain Humane Society Services review was covered in the 2024 focus review. We adjourned at 3:22. Next meeting Thursday, January 4th, 2 PM here at the Mueller Civic Center, and all are welcome, subject to your questions.
Bill, anything you want to add?
No additions.
Questions?
Hey, JR, what was that number, that statistic at the beginning, that 1,400? So, what was that for?
Those were for written traffic
Warnings?
warnings.
Oh, okay. That's not a ticket?
2022 was 400. They're issued a written warning instead of an actual ticket.
So it's just
So we
a,
had 1,400 in 2023.
so a warning, it's just, like it says, it's a warning, say, hey, don't do that
It's a
again,
warning.
and let you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that goes towards a grant?
It can help towards grants, yes. Because what we're showing is that we are actually making the stop. We are doing something about the stop. And then if we need funding, we can show our data and statistics that we are doing something.
Okay.
Is that
1,400,
for
that's
the
a lot.
year or for the month?
That's for the year.
For the year, okay.
Is that
To date.
100 and some
To
of them?
date.
And some of the grant that the chief was talking about is if the police department wanted to work with the sheriff's office and state patrol to do I can't remember the exact term he used, but if, say, during the holidays, they wanted to do a sobriety checkpoint to where you might bring out additional officers and do a real push to get drunk drivers off the road, and we might incur a lot of overtime. There's grants out there that would pay the overtime for those additional officers and those additional hours. So instead of just going to, say, hey, we want to do this, give us some money, they want proof that we have an active traffic enforcement program already in place, and this data provides that evidence.
Another one it could show too is if traffic, we have, for instance, university may be, and I'm not saying it is, but may be a heavily written or warning ticket written area. There may be something that we could give in a grant for particular areas, reduction in speed signs, different camera sets and setups, things like that. I mean, if we can show the data to what we're doing, the better chances we have of obtaining financing.
And the financing goes toward reducing those warnings because people are heeding the ordinances, theoretically.
Of course.
Theoretically.
Any other questions? You had mentioned the night shoot, the night fire.
Correct.
That was completed last week. And the chief said he felt that it went well. Public Works, Bill?
Yes, as soon as I find it here. Okay, Public Works met on Tuesday, December 12th, 1 p.m. here at the Mueller Center. Present were Hal Glanville, myself, Deborah Johnson, and Public Works Engineer Tracy Bastian. We had James Jones from AE2S, who is the consultant to Western Dakota Regional Water Systems. And also present from the public was Craig Romey. We adopted a revised agenda. A member of the public was present to bring a concern of all the trailers that are still on the street after the November 1 removal date per the ordinance. Also discussed was a concern that RVs are in the mobile home parks beyond the 180-day limit that the member of the public believes is the limit established by ordinance. Under new business, James Jones with AE2S was present to address technical questions associated with the Western Dakota Regional Water Systems project to bring Missouri River water to the Black Hills communities. The following is a summary of the information provided. They are looking to bring 3 to 4 potential distribution lines from the Missouri River over to the Black Hills area, one of which would include the Fall River County area. Membership with Western Dakota Regional Water Systems now is important to have allocations included in the initial engineering. It's likely that a single treatment plant will be built at the source, and as such, potable quality water will be delivered to the end user distribution systems. Water compatibility studies will be needed to ensure that our Madison aquifer water is compatible with the Missouri River water. A decision to be a member with the Western Dakota Regional Water Systems will likely need to be made by the fourth quarter of 2024. If the city does consider membership, it's recommended by them that a senior elected official should also consider applying for board membership. Again, as Tracy discussed, AE2S is also the firm that we've used to do the hydraulic water demand model, and they are also the firm that would do the technical work to update the city's state water plan. So I'll not, and Tracy has discussed that. So we've talked about, and I appreciate the council voting to update the hydraulic model one of the things we want to do in our next meeting is look at all the projects that are on the list for Public Works to address and see what we have money to address in 2024. And we believe one of the things we need to prioritize is updating that state water plan, because that's a huge project. That's a big project to update the plan, but if to go forward with a new tank and supply line for that tank is a huge project, and it's several years down the road. So to get that water plan updated is critical that we do that sooner than later. So we need to take a close look at doing that. And to do that, as Tracy talked about, we're going to have to do a temporary modification to the piping at the Evans pumping station, because there's 2 pumps there, and we have to pump both pumps simultaneously, which means that we're going to have to probably, if you will, waste water probably going into Fall River with one of the pumps, while we're also filling the tank with the other pump. And that, I'm not sure how long that pumping exercise will have to go on, but the piping configuration doesn't exist right now to do that. And so there is certainly a cost, and I'm not sure what that cost is, to make that piping modification in order to do that test. But that test has to be done before we can go forward with updating the water plan. So that's the next critical step in order to get that water plan updated. So that took up the majority of our time during our meeting. As we look ahead in the next 30 days, there's really no major projects planned other than the incidental road reconstruction project support. As I said, on our December 27th meeting, we will be looking at everything that's on our active and inactive projects list, taking a look at all of that versus what we have budgeted in our various departmental budgets for 2024, and seeing what we can accomplish next year. Our meeting adjourned at 2:42, and again, we'll meet Tuesday, December 27th, 1 p.m. at the Mueller Center Conference Room.
Any questions for Bill?
Yeah, Bill, on that water project, now, we'll start the process, this council, by voting and going the direction we're going. Will this still carry on in future councils?
It was a couple years ago, a council approved to update the water plan already. So yes, it takes.
Thought we
So
did
it'll-
already.
so
But they put a pause on it because of the complications with the testing of the plant that Bill mentioned and the projects that we.
Yeah, the road reconstruction project not only took our staffing away from being able to do it, but it also took most of our funds away from, all of the work we've had to do on the water system because of the utility work associated with the road reconstruction project has precluded us from doing the work we needed to be able to do this flow test. And so we think we're getting to the point now where we can do this strategic forward-looking work instead of we can do as important, not urgent work versus important and urgent work. How's that?
Nice.
Bill, you had mentioned memberships to the water board. What would the cost be to the city yearly?
The cost is $1,500 a year, and the the benefit, if we choose to do that, is we get our bid for, we get factored into the project early on. So whatever, if we decided we need this water, and this water's not going to be here for probably
20 years.
20 years at best. So if a member might be able to get water at X dollars per, I'm making these units up, so this isn't anything James or Cheryl, the previous meeting, told us. A member might be able to get water at X dollars per thousand. But a non-member may still have access to that water, but that cost may be 2 or 3x per thousand. And the way I'm seeing it is just like when you look at our water and wastewater ordinance. If you're inside the city limits, you pay so much. We will sell you water if you're outside the city limits, or we will grant you access to our wastewater if you're outside the city limits. But it's ×2, and that's the same type of things that they're expecting, and James couldn't be specific because they're not that far down the planning process. But so say we do spend $1,500 a year for 20 years, that's $30,000, and we do end up using the water. My assumption is, and it is a total assumption, that $30,000 could be paid out pretty quickly when you become a water user, if you're paying the member rate versus the non-member rate. Because
Why would we have the potential to need to buy water? Because we have water. Because what I'm thinking is we have that airport water rights. Forever we paid over $1,000 a year just to keep it, and after 15 or 20 years of just paying for that every year, we decided, why are we doing this? And this kind of sounds like that to me. If we already have water, why would we pay so much for a future potential to buy water if we don't even know if we'll have a need for it?
well, and we've got, excellent question. I have an opinion at this 22nd, but the airport, that was irrigation water. We're not growing anything out at the airport.
We don't want to be.
And I'm glad you're going ahead and kind of putting me on the spot, because we got to be put on the spot for this. We have no guarantee that the Madison Aquifer is going to be able to continue to meet our needs.
There's no guarantee this will work either, though, right?
Well, the Missouri River is a pretty good water source.
But getting it here it's still in the planning stages, right?
Oh, it's very much conceptual, yes. There is,
I mean, how is it gonna get here?
they're talking probably 30 to 48 inch pipelines. About 3 to 4 of them coming from the Missouri River. Probably 4 to 5 pumping stations. They're looking at supplying.
Can I put you on the spot then? Will you be traveling across tribal lands?
No. And we asked them about, well, why couldn't we hook onto the Maniwitoni? That it took them 20 years to get that over to the reservation. And they said that the size of the piping would not be enough to go for the extra population that we're looking at.
I think they're going to offer to supply water even down as far as Pine Ridge, but I think they are purposely bypassing tribal land.
Would that also include if they hit any burial grounds?
Oh, they'll have to do all the environmental studies. No, it's,
Part of paying the yearly fee and getting in on the front end of it, they work us into their allocations. As far as the study goes, they will allocate, or what it would take to supply the Southern Hills, Hot Springs in particular. And Edgemont will need to get in on it if they want to. But this kind of, the same premise was used with the Fall River water users years ago when they were just starting up. They had all the landowners outside of Hot Springs buy in at $1,200. And so they get their hookups when the water finally gets there. But now, to hook up and not have been in on that original buy-in, it's like $8,000, $10,000 to hook into the system. So that's kind of what would happen to us, is if we didn't sign up front, and we wanted to later, then we would have a much higher buy-in.
there's a lot of discussion, a lot of questions from every discipline that needs to be asked in this next year before we have to make a decision. And it needs to be in my opinion, it needs to be a very structured investigation that we fully understand whether we want to be a part of it or whether we don't, so that we make the best decision possible. Because quite frankly, most of us will not be alive if and when the water gets here. Some of you young folks sitting over there across from you will be, but a lot of us won't even be alive when that water gets here. Or if we are, we won't be able to recognize it.
Is he talking about us, Misty?
I know how young you think I am, I appreciate it.
It's been brought to my attention that we're pushing up against some bladder capacities.
I'm done.
So, Southern Hills Golf Course, that's me. The committee is only meeting as necessary now that the season is wound down, so I don't have a report for you. Our city administrator is not with us, so that would bring us to our finance officer.
And I have nothing to report, just a reminder that city offices will be closed Monday, the 25th, and Tuesday, the 26th.
All right. I don't have anything official to report other than recognizing this will be our last meeting of the year. The holidays are ahead of us, so I want to wish everyone here and in the public a happy holiday. If you're traveling, please travel safe. We want to see you at our next meeting. So with that, a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion?
Merry Christmas.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Christmas, everybody.
The motion passes. Have a good evening, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir.
To us, or have they been in existence?